According to Norway-based Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, 15,000 people are displaced every day in Africa, and Nigeria is one of the 5 countries worst hit by displaced persons as well as migration. On this week's edition of the program, we take a look at the management of migration and displacements in the country. Hello there, welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Gloria Umezuki. The reported slave trade in Libya raised concerns among several governments across the world, including the Nigerian government. The president has ordered the relevant agencies to tackle the issue of illegal migration. Well, this week on the program, we spoke to the Federal Commissioner, National Refugees Commission. But first, what are the stories that made the headlines within the week in the nation's capital? The Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, has ordered the Code of Conduct Tribunal to carry out a retrial of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, on 3 out of the 18-count amended charges of false declaration of assets brought against him by the federal government. The appellate court, in the appeal filed by the federal government, dismissed 15 out of the 18 counts charges for lacking in merit.
It's neither for me for the appellant nor for the respondent. Is fitry to them and partly fitry to us. So what is important is that at least there's a finding that the code of conduct was wrong and that the case should go back to that court. So that is major thing that is important. So well, when we get there, we will know what to do.
There were altogether 17 counts, 18 counts, and out of 18 counts, the Court of Appeal has decided that 14 of them, actually 15 of them, yes, that the tribunal was quite right in its judgments. And I think we should look at that side first of all. It simply vindicates what the defendant said, that there was absolutely no basis, there was no case, there was no basis for him to enter any defense. Now, in regard to the other 3, we need to get copies of that judgment and we review it, and then we will decide exactly what is best to be done in the circumstance. But we need to see the reasoning. You were in court and you heard that the judges, the justices reading the judgments. They were not reading the full judgments, understandably, because as she mentioned, it's 70 pages. And what she did was to give a summary of their decision. And it's important as lawyers that we get to see the reasoning, we understand exactly why they said what they said, why they made certain decisions, and then we will take it from there.
The federal government has completed the process of handing over the State House in Marina to the Lagos State government. The process, which started about 20 years ago, was completed with the signing and exchanging of documents between the state government and the federal government in Abuja. The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, signed for the state government, while the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, signed on behalf of the federal government.
We believe strongly that by this singular gesture is part of what will improve the economy of Lagos, because our intention is to turn that particular asset into a national monument where we can christen it a national heritage center for leadership, and we'll be able to use it also as a tourist center to bring Nigerians and tourists and foreigners to come into Nigeria, and also use that as a means of improving on the economy of Lagos State.
The federal government has revealed plans to resuscitate refineries in the country and return them to a fully functional condition by 2019. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachuku, said this is one of the decisions taken at the end of this week's Federal Executive Council weekly meeting.
I've already said very categorically that there's no plan to review or increase prices. Now, if you're asking me whether are we going to reduce the price, there's also no plan to reduce prices. Our own refineries, if we complete the procurement processes by the end of this year, they will begin their 12 to 18 months. I don't want to use the word turnaround maintenance. But I would say resuscitation, because I think time has been too badly flogged. And if they do that, then again, sometime in 2019, hopefully towards the end of 2019, we should have the 3 refineries being able to produce for the first time in decades within the 450,000 barrels per day or 425,000 barrels per day nameplate capacity.
Also, the meeting, which presided over by Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, approved $500 million for the purchase of coaches, wagons, locomotives for Lagos, Ibadan and Itakpe-Warri railways. To complete the projects. The council also approved the security measures for the University of Maiduguri, Borno State. He added that some contracts were awarded for Zaria, Gusau and Sokoto Road.
There was also approval for some money to fortify the University of Maiduguri from TED Fund, increase the security, secure the University of Maiduguri. And the Cabinet had commendation for staff and students for really continuing to bear it out and continue to be there. There was also approval for a new draft bill that will go to the National Assembly. It's the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Bill 2017.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Mr. Usani Usani, on Wednesday said that the east-west road in the Niger Delta region was designed to fail from the inception. He, however, said the present administration would correct the situation.
When you talk of 16 billion, and as if it is so relevant in completing the east-west road, I wish to tell you that the outstanding certificates on the east-west road is amount to about 30 billion naira. So even if you put 16 billion there, in fact, one and the other are not alternatives, they are not substitutes. 2 of them are essential infrastructure projects that must go on. So it doesn't mean that if we put that money in the east-west road, then it satisfies the needs of housing the NDDC. The Niger Delta region has a prime position in our preference to develop the area. So they are not substitutes. And so even if you say you are not going to do that one, it doesn't mean that you complete the east-west road. They are all important. And I want you to get that into your mind.
Representatives of several civil society organizations are rejecting a proposed legislation known as the NGO Bill, which seeks to establish a commission that will supervise and coordinate non-governmental originations in the country.
We have the depths of our democracy. I think what is most important now is a horizontal democracy, which is widening the scope of our democracy. And that then involves the energies of ordinary people. I stand with civil society very firmly, and I believe that we have enough laws in this country. We're really not in short of laws, covering almost every dimension of our national life. What I think is most important, and the only thing I can say about this bill is perhaps the intention was right, but I think it does not appreciate the length and the amount of effort that has been made, to put in place laws and so on.
It subjects churches to double registration. Having been registered by CAC, churches have to now re-register again and have to give a proposed annual budget. Section 13 then talks about issuing churches, mosques, faith-based organizations with certificates of registration. And in issuing these certificates, it will limit them to operation in certain areas of the country.
The Nigeria Governors Forum has approved the withdrawal of $1 billion from the nation's excess crude account to support the fight against insurgency in the northeast. Governor Godson Obaseki of Edo State told State House correspondents after the National Economic Council meeting chaired by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Going to cover the whole array of activities required to secure the country and fight counter-insurgency. So we expect that the amounts will include but not be limited to purchase of equipment, procuring intelligence, logistics, and all what is required to ensure that we finally put an end to the scourge of insurgency.